Welcome to Chilling Ghost Stories, where the scariest tales come to life in the dead of night. Tonight, we venture into the eerie legends of Thailand, a land haunted by vengeful spirits, black magic, and chilling apparitions. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and prepare to face your deepest fears. Let's begin. Chapter 2. The Vengeful Ghost.
The general jerked awake, having just experienced a strange dream. A ghost with only its head and a torn lower half kept coiling around him, demanding his life, threatening to kill him. Could it be the vengeful spirit of that sorcerer that had been haunting him? With this thought, General Arthit got up and went to the shrine, lit several candles, and prayed to the gods for strength to protect his family. Inside, Nor's eyes, which had been closed, suddenly opened strangely. The blacks of her eyes had somehow taken over completely, and her lips curled into a sinister smile. She didn't know why, but ever since drinking from that cold stream, her body had felt different. Often, she found herself unable to control her own actions. It seemed as if some force had possessed her body, pushing her soul into a dark corner. That night, while everyone else had fallen into deep sleep, in the candlelit room, Nor's shadow stretched long against the wall. She sat before a bronze mirror, examining her face, caressing and scrutinizing. Others might not have noticed or paid attention, but her skin was gradually changing. It seemed to be withering and cracking. She had been trying to hide this unsightly skin with a mixture of wild honey and turmeric powder. But this was only a temporary solution. Deep down, she knew what she needed. Something that stimulated her intensely, but she dared not speak of it or seek it out. Perhaps the day she could no longer resist this boiling temptation wasn't far off. While lost in thought, suddenly, two hands from behind unexpectedly wrapped around her neck, making her jump, almost crying out. Fortunately, Arthit's familiar voice whispered in her ear, "Why aren't you sleeping yet, my dear Nor? Are you worried about something?" Nor lovingly stroked her husband's strong arm and said, "Lately, I haven't been feeling well." Upon hearing this, Arthit's face showed clear concern, and he quickly knelt beside his wife. "Are you ill? Tomorrow I will summon the best physician in the region to examine you. May the gods protect you." Raising her hand to caress her husband's face, Nor smiled faintly, then took his other hand and placed it on her belly. "I'm fine. Perhaps it's just the little one in here making me feel a bit tired." The general's eyes suddenly lit up, his mouth opening wide with joy. Are you telling the truth? Our child. You are carrying my blood within you. Oh, thank the heavens. Thank the gods for this blessing." If it had been daytime, Arthit might have shouted with joy. Fortunately, he managed to contain his overwhelming happiness, his large hand gently rubbing his wife's slightly hardening belly, his mouth continuously thanking the heavens and gods. Nor smiled along with her husband. They embraced under the candlelight, imagining a life full of joy and happiness with their little ones. However, life unfolded in ways no one could have anticipated. At this point, Nor's belly had become more prominent, but Arthit's face grew increasingly wrinkled with worry. He couldn't understand why all the food brought to his beloved wife was ordered to be thrown out. Dish after dish, even her favorite foods were discarded. Meanwhile, Nor's body grew increasingly thin, her skin pale and peeling as if eroded by water. Fearing she might be ill, Arthit summoned physicians from near and far, even offering generous rewards to anyone who could cure her. But they all shook their heads and left, except for one elderly physician who whispered in his ear before departing, "This is no ordinary illness, but the work of evil spirits. General, you should seek help from monks rather than physicians." What the physician said wasn't something Arthit hadn't considered, he just didn't want to believe it. As a practitioner of magic himself, he had long harbored suspicions. But faced with his beloved wife, Arthit couldn't bring himself to take action. He could only continue deceiving himself. But the unexpected happened. That day, while Arthit was tending to Nor and not paying attention, a treacherous servant drew a knife and stabbed straight at him. Fortunately, being a battlefield commander, even caught by surprise, he managed to dodge in time, only getting stabbed in the leg. Suppressing the pain, Ardhit pulled out the small knife and struck back at the servant, splitting open his stomach, blood spraying everywhere. The servant collapsed on the floor, both hands clutching his wound that continuously pushed out blood-soaked intestines. Ardhit, in pain, sat down on the floor, grimacing. At that moment, Noor sat bolt upright on the bed, her eyes wide with shock. She stared at the pool of fresh, hot blood on the floor, then at the dying servant. Her nostrils flared repeatedly, inhaling deeply. Her face showed clear desire. By now, she could no longer control herself. She lunged to the ground, grabbed the still warm intestines with both hands and brought them to her mouth, devouring them ravenously. The servant screamed in ultimate agony, watching someone eat his innards alive before dying. In the corner of the room, Ardhit witnessed this horrifying scene with utter shock, his mouth agape. The soldiers who heard the general's call rushed in, but seeing the scene before them, they all stood fearfully at the doorway, not daring to advance. "Pull her away!" Ardhit shouted with all his might, and the soldiers timidly approached, grabbing Noor's arms and pulling her back. Her eyes were bloodshot, still staring at the servant's messy abdomen, her mouth greedily licking. The remaining soldiers helped Ardhit onto the bed, bandaging him, while their eyes nervously watched Noor with fearful caution. Who knew if she might lunge at them and devour their innards like that unfortunate soul? Things having come to this point, though Ardhit didn't want to believe it, he had to accept that his beloved wife had been possessed by evil spirits. Ardhit limped to the shrine, clasped his hands and muttered prayers. Afterward, he ordered the soldiers to bring Noor outside, then used prepared black ink to draw exorcism talismans on her face. When Ardhit stopped, Noor's whole body went limp and collapsed to the ground. The general shook his head in pain, telling servants to help her to bed to rest, while he knelt before the statues of the gods, his mind filled with countless questions he couldn't share with anyone. Could he keep his wife with him? After many sleepless nights, Ardhit decided to seek out renowned monks in the neighboring region, hoping they could save his wife. A ceremonial altar was quickly established in Ardhit's mansion. A yellow curtain covered Ardhit's divine shrine, replaced by 3 bronze Buddha statues placed on the highest platform in the mansion. Below, 9 monks sat cross-legged in a circle, hands clasped. Each held a portion of a red thread. The head abbot held the connecting end. Inside, another circle of lit candles was placed. Noor was laid neatly in the center. Everything prepared, Ardhit ordered all servants to leave, while he himself knelt with clasped hands, watching the ceremony begin. Boom! The metal sound from the head abbot's hand resonated, seeming to pierce the hearts of everyone present in this room. Simultaneously, all 9 monks began chanting Buddhist sutras. The chants of the 9 merged as one, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes deep, sometimes high, enveloping the entire room, making it seem like a realm of Buddha. Noor, lying on the ground, began to shake, though her eyes remained tightly closed. Her limbs continuously struck the wooden floor in rhythm with the Buddhist chants. Her face showed clear agony, mouth open as if to scream, but no sound emerged. Watching from outside, Ardhit's heart ached terribly. He could do nothing but pray to the gods and Buddha to help her. The chanting grew increasingly rapid, and Noor was no longer shaking but had become rigid throughout her body. Black smoke began pouring from her mouth, enveloping her body, occasionally rushing outward as if trying to escape the torture of the Buddhist sutras. But it was blocked by the red threads, which now acted like an invisible wall, preventing it from breaking through. The smoke could only return to Noor's body, seeking another chance to escape. Seeing that they could force the ghost or demon out of Noor's body, Ardhit's hope grew stronger. Perhaps his beloved wife could be saved. Inside, somehow Noor's body was now floating in the air, suspended by coils of black energy. Her eyes were wide open, blood red. She turned those hate-filled eyes toward the chanting monks, then toward Ardhit. Ardhit. why are you doing this to me? Nor's voice rang out, but it was hoarse and deep, no different from a man's. Nor, I want to save you from the evil spirits. I want to cure you. Save me. Nor interrupted, if you want to save me, stop this now. It's almost done, just a little more and you'll be well again. No, Nor roared in anger. The Buddhist chants now reached an extreme pace, like rays of golden light piercing into Nor's body to destroy the ghost or demon within. But Nor wouldn't submit. The black energy had now grown much stronger, covering her entire body, leaving only her blood-red eyes visible amid the terrifying darkness. Hold on. You must hold on to return to me, Art-Hit whispered to himself. The air in the room had turned freezing cold. But in the flickering yellow candlelight illuminating the faces of the monks sitting there, everyone was sweating profusely, drops rolling down their cheeks. Some had begun trembling as if about to collapse. The metal sound rang again, striking repeatedly. Even the head abbot was now exerting all his elderly strength to combat the demon within. The red thread stretched taut like a bowstring. It seemed it could snap at any moment. Arthur's heart was also tense with worry, but he could do nothing more. The black smoke gradually faded, revealing Nor's body in white dress lying with closed eyes on the wooden floor. Art-Hit rejoiced, it seemed they had managed to destroy that ghost or demon. The monks also opened their eyes to look, as they sensed the pressure inside had gradually disappeared. The chanting decreased. There seemed to be sighs of relief. Suddenly, at this moment, Nor opened her eyes wide, her mouth roaring in terrible pain. 3 streams of black smoke shot out from her lower body. A tremendous force knocked most of the cross-legged monks sprawling to the ground. All the surrounding candles went out at once. Everyone who saw this scene stared in horror. What was happening? Even Art-Hit froze, not knowing what to do. At this moment, the head abbot weakly spoke, quickly. Quickly stop them, General. They have been born. General Art-Hit gaped in surprise. My children are born. Opening his eyes wide to look at the thin black smoke surrounding Nor, Art-Hit now clearly saw the 3 black streams from earlier. They were like balls flying back and forth, with red threads trailing behind. In the center was a bright red spot wrapped in threads, beating weakly. Those are their hearts. Destroy those hearts and you will eliminate them. But you must act. They are not your children. They are evil spirits come to harm your family. The head abbot, now collapsed on the floor, was crawling toward Art-Hit, whispering each word. Use that bell. The monk hadn't finished speaking when a stream of bloody threads shot from Nor's hand, tightly gripping his neck. Then a black shadow lunged forward, completely covering the poor monk's head, leaving only a scream before silence. Nor. Art-Hit called out wanting his wife to stop, but it was too late. The head abbot fell face down on the floor, dead on the spot. Anyone who tries to harm my children must die. The cold voice that emerged made even Art-Hit shudder in fear. Nor was not the wife he had loved anymore. Looking at her now was like seeing the embodiment of evil spirits with 3 black shadows still surrounding her. Art-Hit gritted his teeth, picking up the bell rolling on the ground. But he didn't know how to use it. At this moment, one of the 3 black shadows, after killing the fallen monks nearby, flew toward Art-Hit. He swung his hand, striking the bell hard against it. The bell rang out loudly, then cracked. The black shadow was knocked back. Nor screamed and lunged at Art-Hit, intent on killing him. But Art-Hit quickly formed a hand seal, using all his strength to strike at Nor. Both were thrown back. Nor knew she couldn't kill Art-Hit, so she cast a hate-filled look at her husband before embracing the 3 shadows and flying through the window, disappearing into the dark night. Art-Hit sat up, looking in the direction his wife had vanished and wept. Nor. I love you.